I read some more bully romances. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Now for today, I'm going to be doing a video where I'm going to be talking about my most recent read bully romances. Now, a couple months ago, I actually did a video where I tried bully romances because honest to God, I never read many bully romances before until that video. And the whole thing was supposed to be like, haha, what a joke. Like, I don't like these books, but turns out they are my favorite, or not one of my favorites, but they are a trope that I actually really do enjoy when done correctly, obviously, because bully romances is kind of like taboo to me because sometimes it can be done really well and you actually feel the emotions of the characters and you can reason with them, or it's done really poorly and it becomes abusive and it becomes, negative in all those aspects. So I picked out, I think maybe 5 bully romances that I read. They are available on Kindle Limited, except for one, and they are indie published. And some of them I really enjoyed, and some of them I didn't enjoy. So let's get started. So for the first book that I want to talk about, it's actually called Regretting You by J.L. Beck and C. Hallman. And now these two girls, or these two authors, have quickly turned into be my favorite bully romance authors because they just do it right. Like, they make it juicy, they make it dramatic, and they make it reasonable within means of why bullying is happening, even though there should be never a reason for why bullying is happening, but in bully romances, why it's actually happening. And it's resolved nicely too. So there's a beginning, there's a middle, and an end. So this one is actually, I think this is the last book in their series called Thorn Elite, and this one was an emotional ride. There is definitely, I'm gonna put a trigger warning on it. There's cutting, there's depression, there's anxiety. If those are your trigger warnings, definitely do not check this one out. This one is dark in that sense, and it will kind of make you uncomfortable if you're not into reading about it. So this book is actually a second chance romance slash a enemies to lovers romance, obviously, because it's a bully romance. But it's about these two people that used to be best friends with each other, and they used to be best friends because they had his sister kind of be the glue in the relationship. She was best friends with the sister, but then because she was best friends with the sister, she was also close friends with our main male character, until one day in high school something tragic happens, and that causes kind of the breakdown in their friendship and slash relationship. And then he automatically hates her because she kind of played a role into the tragic accident, and then she feels gutted and she feels awful about it. She blames herself all the time, and then this is why there's trigger warnings for depression, anxiety, and also for cutting. So this is kind of the story of what would happen if she came back into his life, and he kind of follows her around and tries to make her feel bad and tries to make her remember that it was her fault for why this happened. And then afterwards, this is kind of their love story where they're kind of fighting their attraction for each other and also dealing with their own personal grief and things like that. And there is also another trigger warning I forgot to mention for sexual assault. It's not between the hero and the heroine, but it does happen in the book. Be careful about picking up books in this trope for darker themes, and always do your research in reading reviews and also seeing the author trigger warnings. For this one, it was very good. It was very emotional. It was an emotional roller coaster ride that I really enjoyed, and I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars. Really liked it, and I highly recommend it to you if you find this one interesting. The next book that I read was Thorn, and this is book number 1 in the Rosewood High series by Tracey Lorraine. And Tracey Lorraine is actually a romance author that I really enjoy because she writes novellas for this publishing house slash romance line called Flirt Club. So if you guys are in for romance novellas, definitely check out Flirt Club on Amazon. It's on Kindle Unlimited, and it's free for you if you have the subscription. But Thorn, I just didn't like this one at all. I thought it was so stupid. So my criteria for good bully romances is that if they have a reason that is actually solid and why the person actually hates the girl, and then also if there's conflict resolution is strong, and then also if the girl herself isn't as weak as we want her to be, and that she actually tries to stand up for herself. And it's just like an accumulation of that, and also like the generic formula of that for bully romances. So this one had none of that. The hero had no reason whatsoever really to hate our heroine, and it was very weak. It was him projecting his issues onto her, and that's why he hated her and bullied her. There wasn't really that much like bullying to begin with. I didn't feel that there was like a connection between these characters. And also bully romances need to have like a sexual tension where he's kind of like fighting the urge to not hate her and to actually like take care of her and love her. I did not feel that in this romance novel. I thought it was just not good. So I give this one a 2 out of 5 stars. So the next book that I read is actually a follow-up to one of my favorite bully romances that I've read this year, called Saint by E.M Snow. So the second book in the series is called Malice, and Malice came out in May 2020, and I was talking about it in my first bully romance novel series, but then I didn't read it because I really wanted to save it up. So I finally read it, and honestly, it was a little bit disappointing for this one too as well. This one I ended up giving a 2 out of 5 stars because I just didn't like where it was going. So like Saints kind of ended off with this mystery behind there's like these dangers and these accidents happening that they're targeting our main heroine, that is not actually caused by the bully, and who is also our main hero, and we're trying to figure out like what's the reason behind it. And then there was this backstory where our main female character was actually in this like accident that caused deaths, and then now like maybe somebody's out to come get her. She's trying to figure out like what's happening. And this one was kind of like a follow-up to the cliffhanger that happened in book 1, where our main hero was in danger, and then afterwards we're trying to figure out if he's okay in book number 2. And honestly, I just didn't like where the author took us in this journey on this book. I didn't like where the story was heading towards the end when I was reading the big like reveal slash like the big plot twist. I was just like, I hate this. Like, I hate this right now. So I ended up giving this one a 2 out of 5 stars. Sorry if I can't tell you much about this book because it's book number 2 and it might spoil you for book number 1 if you haven't read it already. I would really recommend you to read Saint over Malice, and then maybe continue. So the next book that I read is called Wicked Dreams by S. Massery, and now this book is about a poor girl who lived in the foster care system, and then she gets like adopted, and then she gets adopted into this very rich and wealthy family, and she lives in this rich wealthy neighborhood, and then she meets her childhood best friend, or her ex-best friend, and he hates her, and then she doesn't know why he hates her, but she's just going to take this opportunity as is, and she's going to study, and she's going to go to university, and then she's just going to leave the foster care system. Like, that's just kind of like her idea. Like, she's just going to live independently afterwards. And then so yeah, like it had a great premise, like it had a great build up. There was some sexual tension, there was some mystery behind like why he hated her, but then literally afterwards I feel like there was no bullying happening, so there was no really like a very intense enemies to lovers. He just hated her, and so it was really just like not a bully romance, and it was more like he hates her and that's it. And I found it incredibly boring. I did not care for what was happening in the story, and I don't care for like the mini plot lines that were happening too. So this one I gave a 2 out of 5 stars. So the last book that I read for this one, I wouldn't even consider a bully romance. I would consider it like an abuse of power. But that's like really bully romances. But this book is called Hate Crush by A. Zavarelli, and now this one is a bully teacher and student romance. I know, it doesn't happen. It really honestly doesn't happen. If a teacher actually bullied a student, that teacher would get fired so fast. And if you're not comfortable with teacher-student romances because you think that it's like an abuse of power, definitely don't check this one out. Obviously, I read this one out of curiosity, and I just, honest to God, I just wanted to see how it would go. This one was an emotional slash dramatic roller coaster that I was not expecting. This one I gave 1 out of 5 stars, but I'll tell you more about why I gave it 1 out of 5 stars. So basically, it's about a teacher that hates this rich, popular girl, and then they have a strong attraction to each other, but they're confused as to like what's really happening. He's very protective of her, and he doesn't want like the other male students to touch her and to date her, and he's dominant in that way, and they kind of have this like secret relationship happening. She's of age, like she's old enough to be an adult and to have consent and to give a consent. So there's that, which is like great to hear. But then it's just so much, like so many things were happening. So he's a teacher, but then actually he's a billionaire that is actually heir to this big corporation, and then he hates his father, so that's why he rebelled and he decided to step down from his role in the corporation to become a teacher in this small town. And in order for his father to get him back to the corporation, he decides to hire thugs to attack him. And then in the process of attacking him, he ends up hurting and causing this big accident that kind of caused like this like big rift between the whole family. And it's just insane. Like it's insanity with the amount of things that were happening towards the middle and towards the end. Like you never knew where this book would take you ever until the last page. And I don't even know if I want to spoil it for you, but if you guys are in for a very dramatic reading, and if you guys want a good laugh at some points where you kind of go, what? Then definitely pick this one up, but otherwise stay away from it. Like I said, I gave this a 1 out of 5 stars. But anyways, that is it for the few bully romances that I have read. So even though I didn't read as many good ones this time around, I did find one good one, which was the one called Regretting You, that I still really enjoy. And I like that series, and I like those 2 authors. So if you guys are in the mood for a bully romance, check them out. But until next time, I'll see you guys again. Bye.